President Trump scored his first big legislative win that the gloves would come off and he'd start draining the swamp. And it appears as if that's exactly the case. Last week, the president quietly signed a powerful executive order that allows the freezing of assets of a wide range of individuals, ranging from foreign nationals to foreign businesses to U.S. businesses, politicians, and lobbyists, if any of the aforementioned people were a part of corruption or human rights abuses. In fact, Hedge reports that the executive order basically applies to anyone in the world who aided and abetted serious human rights abusers, or who has been found to engage in corruption, including the misappropriation of state assets, the expropriation of private assets for personal gain, and corruption related to government contracts or the extraction of natural resources. Uranium one sound familiar? What about the Clinton Foundation? Yeah, this is serious. Hedge reports. The Trump administration quietly issued an executive order last Thursday which allows for the freezing of U.S.-housed assets belonging to foreign individuals or entities deemed serious human rights abusers, along with government officials and executives of foreign corporations, current or former, found to have engaged in corruption, which includes the misappropriation of state assets, the expropriation of private assets for personal gain, and corruption related to government contracts or the extraction of natural resources. Furthermore, anyone in the United States who aids or participates in said corruption or human rights abuses by foreign parties is subject to frozen assets, along with any U.S. corporation who employs foreigners deemed to have engaged in corruption on behalf of the company. In fact, anyone in the world who has materially assisted, sponsored, or provided financial, material or technological support for, or goods or services, to foreigners targeted by the executive order is subject to frozen assets. Yikes. Everyone involved with the Clintons should be shaking in their boots now. Also included in the order are D.C. lobbyists, many of whom work on behalf of foreign governments guilty of some of the worst atrocities on the planet. Last week's executive order could have serious implications for D.C. lobbyists who provide goods and services, e.g. lobbying services, to despots, corrupt foreign politicians or foreign organizations engaging in the crimes described in the O. Virtually every lobbyist in D.C. has got to be in a cold sweat over the scope of this said an attorney consulted in the matter who wishes to remain anonymous. Consider, what would happen if Apple, say, employed a foreign national who bribed a PRC official for government approvals? How about a hypothetical case of a company like Northrop or Boeing where an employee or consultant, who is a foreign national, bribes a Saudi official to direct government purchases of airplanes and military equipment? At least some or all of their assets could be frozen, said the attorney. As far as Hillary and her cabal are concerned, we turn to Uranium One. A former FBI informant claims to have video evidence of Russian officials using briefcases full of cash to bribe those responsible for approving the controversial deal, which allowed Russia to take control of 20% of America's strategic uranium reserves. Let's also not forget about Tony Podesta, who ran the now-defunct Podesta Group. Podesta was basically an agent of the Clinton Foundation, and his brother pushed strongly to have David Adams, Hillary's chief advisor while she was Secretary of State, hired by the Podesta Group so that there would be a direct liaison between the State Department and the Russians attempting to purchase our uranium. And of course, there's also the hundreds of millions of dollars that flowed into the Clinton Foundation as the deal was in the works. To any objective observer, the money appeared to be used to bribe Hillary and her minions to approve the sale. Hedge noted, hypothetically, if the Uranium One deal is deemed corrupt by the Trump administration, and Russian nuclear officials indeed routed millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation, and Tony Podesta lobbied on behalf of the deal for the Clinton Foundation, it stands to reason that this executive order could freeze the U.S. housed assets of quite a few individuals. Of note, assets can be frozen with no prior warning, as Trump has declared a national emergency due to the scope and gravity of the threat posed by said individuals. Meanwhile, the Justice Department has just ordered a review of Uranium One after mounting evidence seemingly proved the deal was made under suspicious circumstances, we previously reported. According to a bombshell report from NBC News, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has ordered the career prosecutors at the Justice Department to take another look at the original investigation into the deal. The report states that Justice Department officials have been interviewing the FBI agents who conducted the criminal probe into the matter to see if there's a need for a special counsel. A senior law enforcement official who was briefed on the initial FBI investigation told NBC News there were allegations of corruption surrounding the process under which the U.S. government approved the sale, but no charges were filed. As the New York Times reported in April 2015, some of the people associated with the deal contributed millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation, and Bill Clinton was paid $500,000 for a Moscow speech by a Russian investment bank with links to the transaction. Hillary Clinton has denied playing any role in the decision by the State Department to approve the sale, and the State Department official who approved it has said Clinton did not intervene in the matter. That hasn't stopped some Republicans, including President Trump, from calling the arrangement corrupt and urging that Clinton be investigated. In a letter to Rep. Bob Goodlatte, RVA, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Assistant Attorney General for Legislative Affairs Stephen Boyd said Justice Department lawyers would make recommendations to Sessions about whether an investigation should be opened or expanded, or whether a special counsel should be appointed to probe a number of issues of concern to Republicans. So basically, it appears as if the Trump administration is setting the stage to go to war with the swamp, and they're using the full weight of the government to do so. Over the summer, Attorney General Sessions ended Obama-era restrictions on asset forfeiture, making it easier for the government to take over the ill-gotten gains of criminals. Now, President Trump just signed an executive order singling out anybody who's engaged in corrupt activities, regardless if the government officials are not. Between the two, it looks as if the gloves have finally come off.